Okay. So I want to tell you about one of the weirdest stories, experiences like I've ever been through. Even weirder than the first meeting I had with Whoopi. You think that was weird? Check this shit out. Okay, so there's this pizza place called the Lisa Pizza that I worked at on and off for many years. And it's some of my favorite pizza in the world, and I just love the place. And there was this guy there, who was one of my coworkers. His name was John. He was like this middle-aged, short, angry Joe Pesci type of guy. And John had a son. His name was Steven. I didn't even know he had a son. I never met the kid. I quickly learned why. John asks me one day, "Hey, my son got in a little trouble, and he needs to go to court." I said, "What kind of trouble?" "Oh, he got busted for stealing beer out of a CVS or some shit." Like, okay. He's like, "Yeah, my van is broken down, and I can't drive him. Can you give us a ride, please?" He had like this really, like, ugly piece of shit, like rundown rapist van. You know what kind of van I'm talking about? And he never asked me for any favors before, any rides. And I like to go to the courthouse and watch like arraignments and shit because I'm kind of a legal buff. So I said, you know what? Fine. While he's in court, I'll watch some arraignments, whatever. So I drive him to the courthouse, and I go to D11. That's the name of the arraignment courtroom in Suffolk County. I sit there, watch some arraignments, and then I decide to go upstairs and see how they're doing. And exactly when I walk into the courtroom, Steven's about to get seen by the judge. And of course, the judge asks him, "Sir, do you have an attorney?" It's the first question any judge is going to ask you when you go to court, at least in the U.S. And this guy, man, you want to talk about a retard? He goes, "I want the DA to be my lawyer." And the judge and the bailiff and everyone in the courtroom were like dead silent. Like you could hear a pin drop for a few seconds. This judge, she didn't even know what to say. And then she goes, "Sir, the DA can't be your lawyer. The DA works on our side. You need to get your own attorney." Like talking to him like he's 4 or 5 years old. And then finally, John stands up and goes, "Your Honor, can I say something?" "Yes, sir." And he basically goes, "Yeah, my son's a fucking retard. He's a little bit slow. Don't mind him. He doesn't even know what he's asking." So we leave the courthouse and go back to their house. They live in Dix Hills, same as me. And I had no idea anyone in Dix Hills lived like this, right? I used to think everyone was rich. It's a relatively wealthy community. But I guess there's a darker, seedy side even in Dix Hills, and this is it. Because they lived in this, like, two-bedroom dump. The place was disgusting. John basically slept, like, on the floor on a mattress in a storage room, and his son slept on a couch. And it was just like, what the fuck? Again, I didn't know anyone in Dix Hills lived like this. Jesus. Well, I hang out with him for a while, and I had no plans on going back. But John calls me a few days later, and he goes, "You want to come and hang out again? My son really likes you, and he wants to see you again." And I'm thinking like, yeah, I don't really want to see him again. And then I started feeling bad, like, kid's kind of retarded, and he doesn't have any friends, obviously. And I said, all right, whatever, one more time. What's it going to hurt? So I go over there. It was a Sunday during the football season, so there was a New York Giants game on. I figure, we got 3 guys in the house. We'll all watch football, have a good time, whatever. So I sit down on the couch, and the football game starts. I start watching the game, and John and Steven are just standing there, like, doing nothing. And they still got their jackets on, everything. Jacket, shoes. And I'm looking at them like, what are they doing? Why don't they sit down? Why are they standing up? But I'm like, whatever. So a few minutes later, they're still just standing there with their jacket and everything on. And I finally said, bro, it's your house. Why don't you sit down, watch the game? Take your jacket off. What are you doing? They're like, no, we like to stand. It's better. I say, okay. So stand, I guess, and watch the game. They weren't even watching the game. They were just kind of staring into space. Little did I know. And at this point already, I was just like, it was like a bad car wreck. I already wanted to get the fuck out, but I couldn't leave. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, this was like two boxers, go to their corners after like a fight. John would go to one side of the room, like where they had like a little kitchen, and Stephen would go to the other side. And every 2 or 3 minutes, they would kind of meet in the middle and have this weird random screaming match. I couldn't even understand what they were arguing about. But it was like something only two retards or crazy people can understand. They would just get in each other's faces and start yelling. And then they would go back to their corners. And while they were in their corners, they weren't doing anything. They were just standing there, literally just staring into space or staring at the wall. A few minutes later, they come back to the middle of the room, start screaming and yelling at each other again. And I'm like, what the fuck? I knew these people were weird. I always knew John was a weird guy. I figured his family was weird too. But I wasn't expecting this. I'd never seen anything like this. Like, what are they doing? What are they yelling about? What the fuck is wrong with them? And I ended up staying there for a solid, hour. Because I couldn't even move. It was a really bad car wreck. I really couldn't stop looking. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I gotta get the fuck out of here before I get, stabbed and cut up and put in a dumpster or some shit. I don't know what these people are gonna do. So I finally left. I go home. And even John, as dense as the guy may be, was smart enough to know after that experience I never wanted to chill with them again. He didn't even so much as mention it the next time I saw him at Delisa. I guess he was too embarrassed. And this guy, Steven, ultimately became really notorious in our area because he kidnapped somebody's dog, raped it, and then beat it to death with a baseball bat. Yeah, it was all over the news. And then after he gets out of the fucking nut house, he goes down to one of those farms on Pine Acres Boulevard and tries to have sex with a horse. Because they have those horse farms over there. And I'm like, holy shit. I mean, some people in this world, you can't even explain it. It's just beyond bizarre. I still to this day cannot believe I actually hung out with these people and that this really happened to me. Wow.